Hello, this is Jason. It's mid-September 2023, and in this video I am going to give you my first impression of my three Jujubes right here. I've got a Lang in the foreground, Li, that's L-I, in the background, and then over on the right-hand side I have GA866. I'm not going to taste test any of these varieties because only the Lang has brown fruit. I want to wait another week or two due to the unusual winter we had. And not all of the trees are ripening on the same schedule that they were last year. So I'm going to wait a little bit to taste test them, but I am going to walk around the tree, show you what the fruit looks like at this point in the year, and also talk a little bit about the fruit shape. All right, let's go check them out. All right, so 2 years ago, I put 3 Jujubes in the ground, and I chose 3 because, well, I didn't know which one was going to taste the best. So I said, let's just put 3 of them in and group them close together and find out what happens. So that's exactly what I did. I remember when I bought these, they're Dave Wilson trees. I got them from one of our local nurseries here in San Diego called Walter Anderson. The trees were 8 feet tall. They were bare roots, and I knew they had thorns, but when I put them in the back of my car, I had some really crazy thorns that are right at eye level. Thinking back on that, I probably should have pruned them in the parking lot, but I took the whole thing home and then pruned them once I got them in the ground. But nonetheless, they were all planted at the same time. They're all approximately the same age. Tree diameter wise, they are all pretty close. That's where the similarities end, however. So if we pan up and we start looking at the trees, I definitely did top them off when I first got them. 8 feet was way too long to put in the ground without it getting blown over or knocked over or growing sideways. So I cut them about down to maybe 3.5 feet. I staked them to give them a little bit of support. They were very whip-like when I first got them. And the way that they've grown and what they've produced since then has been very, very different. So I'm going to give you sort of the exterior view of these fruits. And then next week, or possibly the week after, I'll actually go ahead and pull some of the fruit off and taste test them and give you a side-by-side taste test comparison. So let's start over here with the Li. So this is L-I, Li, and there is no shortage of fruit on this tree. Just like last year, the fruit is just overly abundant here. And you might notice that they grow in these large clusters. And as I put my hand next to it, you'll see they're larger than golf ball size. At least the big ones are larger than golf ball size. So as far as size is concerned, out of all 3, the Li has the largest fruit out of the 3. So if you're looking for the biggest bang for your buck, Li is where it's at. You're going to be able to pack maybe 2 or 3 of these in your lunch, and you'll be satisfied as far as volume is concerned. Last year, I went back and looked at some of the photos I had, and I was actually eating brown Li at this point. But again, due to our unusually rainy and cold winter, everything in my orchard is at least a week behind, more likely 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit for these to brown up. I like when they are brown. I think they taste a little bit better, at least when one side of them is brown. My Li is not quite there yet. So let's come on over here to the Lang. The Lang, unlike the Li, has more of a gourd shape to it, and these are browning already. These are actually ready to go. I've been picking a few off and trying them. The actual taste test video will come soon, but the shapes of these, they're a little bit smaller overall, and they're maybe 2/3 the size of the Li. But as far as successive ripening is concerned, which is a goal of mine here in this orchard, the Li is going to ripen, the Lang is going to ripen first. I suspect that the Li will come in second, although the Li and my 3rd tree may be a little bit more neck and neck. But Lang definitely leads the way. Lang is going to produce fruit and brown up first here in San Diego Zone 10B. Now if I come over here and I look at my GA866, I was really excited by this one because I heard great things. And last year I think I had maybe 2 or 3 fruit on the entire tree, while the other 2 produced probably over 100 fruit between the 2 of them. This one got off to a slow start. Last year it didn't produce a lot of fruit, and that's okay. First year, I don't want to overstress the trees. I want them to work on the roots and all, so I wasn't too worried. This year the tree has rebounded nicely. It definitely doesn't have as much fruit as the Li. No tree is going to have as much fruit as the Li. The Li just is so prolific when it comes to fruiting. but the GA866 has rebounded compared to where it was last year. Now, if you look at the GA866 fruit shape, it is more, how would you describe this? I don't want to say teardrop shape. Let me see if I can get up and under. There we go. Oblong, oval, not quite egg shape. It's a little bit longer than egg shape, but way smaller than the Lee. Maybe the same height, maybe a little shorter in height than the Lang, but it doesn't have that gourd-like shape to it. So as far as the amount of volume that you'll get per fruit, the GA866 is the lowest. You're going to get the least amount of bang for your buck here with the GA866. The GA866, by the way, this is a unnamed variety. Seems kind of silly to me to have this tree in existence and in circulation for so many years and still not have a name to it. But that's still how it's labeled even to this day by our friends at Dave Wilson Nursery. And maybe at some point in the future someone will slap a name on it. GA866 is a really weird thing to rattle off multiple times in a row on a video. So again, height-wise, growth-wise, all the trees appear to be doing about the same. If you put a Jujube in the ground in San Diego, it does not require a whole lot of irrigation. They're somewhat drought-tolerant once they get established. So it's not that you have to pick a certain variety based on your climate. If you're in zone 9 or 10, you're going to be fine with whatever you pick. At least that's my experience and the experience of others I've spoken to. I do have irrigation down here at the bottom. I have one large ring, a drip tube that goes around the entire perimeter. And then from that, I've looped 3 circles around each trunk so that I am specifically hitting on those 3 trees. So they do get irrigation. They get water once a week. So that's my watering schedule. This is actually on the exact same zone as the figs that are directly behind it, so they all get irrigated for the same duration, although the quantity of water they get is different because the drippers are set to emit a different amount of water. But nonetheless, these trees grow really well. They produce fruit almost immediately. Next week, once I start to see some browning on the Lee and the GA866, I'll pull some fruit off the trees and we'll do a taste test among all 3. So I look forward to sharing that with you. But here is the peripheral view or the outside view of my Jujube trees.